In the early hours of February 14, 1991, a strike eagle cut through the darkness over western Iraq. Inside the cockpit, the world outside did not exist. Instead, the crew flew through a glowing green wireframe of valleys, ridgelines, and dry riverbeds projected onto their displays. The jet stayed low, dangerously low. Then something unexpected appeared. A wide heat bloom drifted across the WSO's screen, hovering just above the desert floor, kicking dust into the air. An Iraqi Mi-24 Hind gunship, too low for radar to track cleanly, too close for a missile to arm. Earlier generations of F-15 pilots would have had no choice. They would have called it in and turned back. But this was not an earlier F-15. With a single switch, the weapons systems officer armed the laser. The pilot eased the nose upward. In that instant, the Strike Eagle aligned itself against a target no helicopter had ever expected to face. For the first time since World War II, American pilots were forced to accept a truth they hadn't faced in decades. That realization had begun years earlier, over Vietnam. In the late 1960s, the F-4 Phantom II, once the pride of American air power, found itself outmaneuvered by smaller, lighter Soviet-built MiG-17 and MiG-21 above Hanoi. The Phantom had been designed to do everything: intercept, bomb, reconnoiter. But in trying to do it all, it mastered none. It lacked agility. It lacked visibility. Meanwhile, Soviet surface-to-air missiles filled the sky, forcing U.S. pilots to fight simply to survive in airspace they once dominated. The Air Force refused to repeat that mistake. In 1969, McDonnell Douglas won a contract to build a fighter with one purpose: absolute air superiority. No compromises, no distractions. The result was the F-15 Eagle. Powered by twin Pratt & Whitney F-100 engines, the jet could accelerate straight up, boasting a thrust-to-weight ratio greater than 1. It could exceed Mach 2.5. Its AN/APG-63 radar could track multiple targets through ground clutter, and its frameless canopy gave pilots unmatched visibility. When the YF-15A first flew on July 27, 1972, it represented the culmination of the Air Force's fighter experimental program. By 1976, the Eagle entered service and rewrote the rules of aerial combat. Its motto said everything: "Not a pound for air to ground." In combat, the F-15 became the gold standard. Over 100 confirmed air-to-air kills, 0 losses. Future conflicts demanded more than air dominance. They required deep strikes, night operations, and survival inside dense air defenses. Aircraft like the F-111 could fly low and far, but they were expensive, complex, and lacked the awareness and agility of modern fighters. The Air Force wanted something new, an aircraft that could strike like a bomber and fight like an eagle. McDonnell Douglas had suspected for years that the F-15 could do more. In 1978, the Tactical All-Weather Requirement Study confirmed it. Analysts concluded that future aircraft would need range, precision, and survivability without sacrificing combat performance. A year later, engineers modified an F-15 prototype into the Advanced Fighter Capability Demonstrator. It flew with conformal fuel tanks, laser targeting systems, and precision weapons. At the 1980 Farnborough Air Show, spectators watched an Eagle roar past, heavy with bombs, yet flying like a pure interceptor. The proof was undeniable. The result was the F-15E Strike Eagle. Under the skin, it was a different machine. The structure was reinforced. Titanium spars strengthened the airframe. New manufacturing methods reduced weight while increasing durability. The jet could now carry more than 23,000 pounds of fuel and ordnance. Conformal fuel tanks extended its range to nearly 1,000 miles without refueling. Twin F-100 PW220 engines delivered over 50,000 pounds of thrust. Inside the cockpit, the transformation was complete. The second seat became home to the weapons systems officer. Surrounded by displays, the WSO managed radar, navigation, and weapons, while the pilot focused on flying and fighting. The AN/APG-70 radar could map terrain with near photographic clarity, lock onto moving ground targets, and instantly switch to air-to-air mode. Beneath the intakes, lantern pods turned darkness into daylight. One guided the aircraft through valleys at treetop height. The other painted targets with laser precision. By 1989, the Strike Eagle was fully operational. When Iraq invaded Kuwait, it was among the first aircraft sent into combat. Night after night, F-15Is pushed deep into enemy territory, hunting Scud missile launchers and hardened targets under constant fire. By war's end, the Strike Eagle had flown over 2,200 sorties.